Get the keys to the kingdom.
Come on, look at somebody, tell them, say, break up your fallow ground. You may be seated. Break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. When I read this passage in the Holy Manuscript, I realized that our ancestor Jeremiah, this prophet preacher, has already in chapter 1, 2, and 3 laid down the case against Israel. And we've been preaching this for a while. We've gone through every chapter. Now chapter 4. He laid the case that Israel has already played the harlot. And her sister Judah is as treacherous and even more treacherous as she is, going after strange gods, who is called in scripture strange lovers. For adultery is used here to describe the relationship that the children of the Most High Yah, who are supposed to be symbolically the very bride of Yahuwah, we find them having turned their back on the Most High Yah and their faces toward idol and false Elohim, false gods. When we look at chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, on the last Shabbat, we discovered that there was a call from the Most High to the 12 or to the 10 tribes of the north that were called Israel, that they would come back and turn away and put away their abominations and come back to Yahuwah in truth, in judgment, and in righteousness, so that the nations would see the glory of the Most High Yah. But then today we see the prophet speaking to Judah. That's the tribes in the south, made up primarily of Judah, Benjamin, and of course some of Levi. And he begins this passage, and I'm really going to read a lot to you today, more than I normally read, but I want you to understand this message in context, and I have my 2 little 3 points, and I'll be out your way. But he begins this passage by saying, thus say Yahuwah to the men of Judah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. Circumcise yourselves to Yahuwah and take away the foreskin of your heart. Ooh. You men of Yehudah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn, that none man can quench it because of the evil of your doing. 2 things there. The first thing he says, break up your fallow ground. If you don't understand that, it is an agricultural and farming term. And it has to do with preparing your field to receive the seed. Somebody say, preparing your field. To receive the seed. This is not a matter of simply going out in the field and breaking up the soil with a pick and then walking away. No. This carries the idea in the Hebrew thought of actually taking a plot of ground and breaking up the hard pan, moving out the stones, and then creating rows or furrows whereby you could then plant seeds, which the seed is the word, into the soil that will produce a harvest, or allow the crop to produce a harvest, some 10, 20, 30, 60, sometimes even 100-fold. He says, here is the problem. He says, this people are unwilling to break up the fallow ground. Number one, they don't even realize, they don't believe in their hearts that they have fallow ground. They think that their ground is fertile, not fallow. But the reality is, the Most High is trying to share with them, your heart, that's where I'm going with this, is like that fallow ground. You think it's fertile, but I'm telling you, it's hard pan. I mean, it's so rough, it's so tight, that if you don't get a pick and a shovel and allow, watch this, your heart to be broken up and the rocks, stone and hard pan removed and the good soil left, then you will never be able to receive the word of the Most High Yah, which is the seed. You won't be able to receive it. Now, what's interesting, he says this, it's in the Bible, he says, and don't sow among thorns. Now, why would he say that? Let me tell you why. I grew up in the country. Matter of fact, I'm in the country right now. I live in the country. I grew up in the country. And I understand fallow ground. I understand making rows. I understand planting gardens. I understand planting crops. But let me also share something with you that is a great temptation as, say, like a farmer. A great temptation for a fellow like me, decide, okay, I want to go ahead and do a garden. Y'all with me? Great temptation. You go out in the backyard, or wherever your garden is, and you see weeds growing. You see them growing. And you start thinking, you know what? I'm not watering these weeds. Nobody's tending the weed. Nobody planted the weeds. And they are growing. Why not just take the seed and throw it in there with the weeds and go on back in the house? The temptation is to be lazy. That's the point. And not do the necessary task of getting rid of the weeds and getting rid of, matter of fact, I had a fellow tell me they call it pre-emergent. He told me, he said, not only do you need to pull up the weeds you can see right now, but you need to apply what's called a pre-emergent, which is, it's a soil conditioner that actually kills the seed roots that are still underground. It is a great temptation, I'm telling you, to not do the proper preparation before you plant. You have to fight it. Because you say, well, it's not going to matter that much anyway. Until what? The harvest. During the growing process, what you're going to discover is that your weeds are not just pretty plants that can survive harsh conditions, but you will discover that the weeds are the enemy of the seed. Did you catch that part? The weeds that's growing wild. Instead of you admiring how they can survive without, you didn't have to plow up the ground for them, you didn't have to pull out no rocks, no hard pan, no nothing, and they're blooming and blossoming. Instead of you admiring that, you need to see weeds for what they really are. They're the enemy of the good seed. You see, these thorns and thistles, we used to call them in the country, Green don't, you don't know about that. We used to call them stickers back in the day. They're enemies of the good seed. So what do you mean enemies? Believe it or not, they choke out the good seed. Let me bring that to a point, and I'm going to read some more of Jeremiah. I want you to see that first. Many of us think that we can be better as Hebrew Israelite or the true children of the Most High Yah by just allowing the Most High to put His word, watch this, in our life that's already full of weeds. Oh, just sprinkle some of your Torah in here along with all the other stuff I got growing out of my heart. Just because your heart is producing weeds doesn't mean that's fertile ground. That doesn't mean that that's productive soil. It just simply means your heart, right, watch this, that your heart is housing the enemy of the word of Yah. Waiting for that seed to come so it can kill it. Wow. And may I say this to you, my brothers and my sisters, that is exactly what's going on today in the religious centers that have been spread across this great nation of ours from coast to coast. Is what we have is a fallow ground heart full of weeds. So every time you come with the seed of Torah, trying to plant that seed into a person's heart that has already received the weeds of the world, that seed is then choked by the weeds. He said, y'all, Yehuda, do that. Second thing he said, I need you to do a new circumcision. What? I need y'all to circumcise yourself to Yah. I don't know what you're talking about, circumcised. I've been circumcised ever since I was a little baby. No. You had your flesh circumcised as a baby, but you still have foreskin around your heart. So now, I know in English, it doesn't seem like these two relate to each other at all. Planting a seed in the field and a heart needing circumcision. But the idea of planting a seed in the ground carries with it the same idea of planting a seed in a woman that produces a child. Plant seed in the ground, it produces fruit. Plant seed in the ground. And the way the master has made a covenant with his people that they are not to plant, I'm using the term loosely here, they're not supposed to plant in fallow ground. They're not supposed to plant among weeds. Are y'all in this room now? To prepare you as a man in your private organs. It is there so that you won't, you know what I'm saying? You can stay more healthy. And so it's important that you be circumcised in the flesh for that. But Yah is saying, while you all are concerned about that, you're not realizing that you've allowed your heart to remain uncircumcised so that you are actually keeping the filth and the diseases of the world close to your heart. And as a result, you have become defiled. I remember I was in a conversation with a brother and I was trying to explain that, and he said, so you believe that circumcision is necessary for an adult? I said, well, I believe that the Bible teaches circumcision. And he said, and he was trying to catch me because they don't believe in the Old Testament, right? They think the Old Testament has been done away with, and they said, right there, see, I got you, right there. I said, what do you mean you got me? He said, Paul said that you don't have to be circumcised, that circumcision means nothing. I said, really? I already knew where he was going. And he said, If you read Galatians and you read the arguments in the Bible, you will see that they were getting away from all that circumcision stuff. I said, are you sure about that? Because I think I can show you that Rabbi Shaul didn't make up this idea of circumcision of the heart. But because this clown had never read the Torah, he didn't know that Deuteronomy had already told us that what the Most High Yah desired was a circumcision of the heart. And in the Tanakh, right here in chapter 4, Jeremiah is saying the same thing. Not saying that Yah is against circumcision of the flesh, but what he is saying that there is a circumcision higher than the circumcision of the flesh. That is what Rabbi Shaul, the Apostle Paul, that is what his argument was, that there is a circumcision of the flesh and a higher circumcision of the heart. And if a person had to make a choice between one or the other instead of both, because you should be both, but if there was one to choose, am I in the room?
Yes. Yes.
You should always choose the higher one, which is the circumcision of your heart, which enables you again to receive Torah. Got me?
Amen. Amen.
A couple more and I'll be out your way, believe it or not. Lest my fury, verse 4, come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it because of the evil of your doings. Declare in Judah and publish in Jerusalem and say, blow you the shofar in the land. Cry, gather together and say, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. Set up a standard towards Zion, retire, stay not, for I will bring from the north and a great destruction. He's saying, everybody, get ready to run and hide. Go to the strongest cities you can find, hide out, because the Most High Yah is about to wreak havoc in Jerusalem. Doesn't make any sense to us, does it? It didn't make any sense to the prophet. One of the verses he's going to actually say it, and we're going to get to it in a moment. He said, verse 7, the lion has come up from his thicket. He's talking about Babylon. Babylon has already rose up to go on world conquest, and these people here had no idea. They're still acting a fool. They're still sinning. They're still partying. They're still hobnobbing with these satanic feasts and fake feast days. They are still gluttonous. They are still perverted. They are still unclean because they have no idea that right around the corner, the lion, the evil lion of Babylon, has already started moving. And it's the prophet who's trying to tell the people, you don't know what you're dealing with. The destroyer has already risen up. Look at this. And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. That's Babylon. He has gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate. He's on his way here to kill everything. And thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. Everybody's going to be killed. There won't be any alive. And for this, gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us. You know how people say, oh no, especially the folks that still, caught up in some of these man-made religions. Oh, the Lord would never let anything happen to us good standing Americans, for we love our flag and we love our country and we love our troops, and we love our Bibles. Oh, really? So you think that the Most High is no longer in the business of executing judgment in the world. You may not want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The lion has already stood up and is on the prowl. And America is next on the list. And the Most High is going to allow it. And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. He said, repent. You can cry. You can howl. But the truth is, Yah has already made up his mind. I used to say this often. I'm going to say it again. If the United States of America was a ship, she would be called the Titanic. Because she believes she's unsinkable. She believes that she's invincible. She believes that she will always be afloat. But one of the most powerful lines in the whole drama of the Titanic is when they bypassed the bypassed the captain and went to the engineer. The captain kept saying, oh, we all right. The name is Titanic. We're unsinkable. And they kept asking, they said, Captain. So-and-so said, we all right. He's the captain, right? So he's got everybody calm. He tells the band, keep on. Just keep playing. Just keep playing the music. Tell the guests, sit down. Everything is all right. Don't disturb it. This is the Titanic, and we're on our maiden voyage. We're going to make it. But do y'all remember what happened? They bypassed the captain, went to the engineer, explained to him what happened. He pulled out his papers, looking at his papers. He said, where's the damage? He said, it's here, right here, right here. He said, call the captain. Y'all remember the movie? Based on a true story. They go get the captain of the ship. He meets with the engineer. And the captain told the engineer, he said, this ship cannot sink. And the engineer turned back to the captain and said, Captain, I designed this ship. And with all due respect, sir, I need to tell you, she can sink. Hold on. And she will sink. America thinks that she can't sink. But she's already gone past the point of no return. It just takes a little while for the water to fill up certain compartments until you're going to start, watch this, and it's going down. It's already under. There's just parts of it still sticking out. And instead of the preachers trying to tell the people, instead of them telling the people that the only hope is a return to the Most High Yah in sackcloth and ashes and in prayer, the people and the preachers are rearranging the deck chairs on the promenade. They're talking about, I don't like that song that the band is playing. Instead of the preachers sounding the alarm, They're saying things like, who ordered that champagne? And should we drink red wine or white wine or grape juice? Are y'all in the room with me?
Yes.
Jeremiah saw the pending doom on Judah, and it messed him up. I'm going to skip down some verses. Go down to verse number 19. He says in verse 19, my bowels, I can't hold my peace because of what I heard. What did you hear? I heard the destruction. I thought, it's right there in verse number 10, he said, I thought we were automatically protected forever with the Most High Yah. But he says in verse 10, Yahuwah Elohim, surely thou hast greatly deceived this people in Jerusalem, saying, you shall have peace, whereas the sword reaches unto the soul. And at that time it shall be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind is coming. Now let me say what he's talking about here, because that's King James. It might throw you off a little. This is what he's really saying. He said the reason why these people are acting the way they're acting is because they thought they were a privileged lot. They thought because they belonged to you that you would never execute judgment on your own people. In other words, these people forgot the Torah because Moses said point blank that Yah told him that if you go in the land and start acting like the heathen that are in the land, that the land will spit you out of it, just like, watch this, just like I am driving the inhabitants out of the land right now. America thinks because they are the land of the home of the free, whatever they say, the land. Y'all
Land of the free.
Oh, we not going nowhere. But here's my problem. Where's the preachers that are feeling the urgency of turning people back to Torah? Where's the preachers that's feeling it in their heart and their stomach? No, the only thing we're feeling is, are we going to be able to get that next car? How big is my anniversary? Who's coming to my next spare ribs and pig feet fest?
Oh my God.
We want to know, did they make enough chitlins for the chitlin strut? We got birthday month coming. Oh, wow. America, their nation and their people. Like the engineer said, not only can she sing, she's going to sing. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the wind is coming. And this wind is not here to help you winnow. I know that's another Hebrew phrase. See, the Hebrews like the wind to blow because they live primarily off of wheat and barley. And what they would do is they would break the wheat, they'd get the wheat from the ground, they would bust the husk, the seeds, and then they would throw the seeds up in the air, and the wind would catch the husk and blow that away, the chaff, while the seed part would fall back down. So you wanted the wind. When the wind wasn't blowing, that didn't work. So whenever you got a wind coming that would help you do the winnowing, you enjoyed that. You was like, thank you, Yah, for the wind. And this is what the prophet is saying. He's saying there's a wind blowing now, but y'all think it's a good wind, but this is not a wind to help you make some bread. The wind that's coming now is a whirlwind, and it's going to destroy you. And nobody is saying, woe is us. Verse 13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds. His chariot shall be as swift as whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we're ruined, we're spoiled. The enemy's coming like that here. And I want to close, because I see my time is drawing nigh. You don't want to break up the fallow ground? You don't want to circumcise your heart? Verse 20 then. You ready? Destruction upon destruction. Is that what that says? Anybody else got a Bible? Any other Bible readers in here? What does it say? Destruction upon destruction. Now you can say that ain't in the Bible. You can try to take that out. You can say that does not apply to me. All you want. But I'm reading where it says destruction upon destruction. Now, this is a Hebrew terminology. I don't think a lot of Greek people talk like this. But all the Hebrews I know talk like this. My mama used to talk like this. She said, boy, you in trouble on top of trouble. Y'all never heard that before. That is a Hebrew idiom. Ooh, you about to get a whooping on top of a whooping. You mean a whooping can be placed on top of a whooping? That's a Hebrew idiom. We all in this room, we know the idiom because we've heard folks say these words to us all of our lives. The prophet told them it's destruction on top of destruction. That's what's getting ready to happen. The whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. And he said, how long shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the trumpet? That's how I feel. See, this is the standard. And every time I look at the standard, and then I hear the sound of the trumpet, it grabs my heart. And I keep wanting to know how much longer do I have to keep seeing the standard and hearing the trumpet and preaching the standard and blowing the trumpet, and the people just ignore it like I didn't tell nobody. Like I didn't tell Obama 3 years ago about the road he was on. I told him. It's on record that I told him. And they got the record. They got the video. Don't think for 1 second they don't have it. I told him you're on a slippery slope. Some of y'all was in the room when I told him. Put it on video. And I told him right then, you have to stop this. You are moving the country toward destruction on top of destruction. Have you ever heard of a place called Sodom and Gomorrah? I told them. You know how many years I've been hollering? Over 30 years. When Obama was running for president, he had me on the phone. Conference call. You don't think he got my number? How you get on a conference call with me and don't have my number? CIA don't work like that. The FBI don't work like that. Anytime the president talks to anybody, they have a record of it forever. But not one time did he call and say, before I do this, before we go in this direction, can me and you just have a talk so you can show me in the scriptures whether or not we are being consistent with Torah and the Most High? And if he didn't want to come himself, he's got cabinet members. You know, everybody knows me. They all got my number. They know where I live. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on every place. Not one. And yet I got to sit here and watch it. Got to watch the destruction. I told this country, stop killing these unborn babies.
Me too.
And they kept doing it. No, I'm not saying because Marvin said it. I told the country stop doing it because the Most High Yah told me to tell the country stop. They didn't stop. I told them about this male and male thing and women and women. I told them in this book, the Most High destroyed cities and countries for that type of foolishness and wickedness. They didn't stop. And now here I am, my bowels, my stomach, my throat, my heart. Here I am crying and carrying on over the problems of this world. And I'm the one been trying to tell them for 30 years. I should be sitting somewhere going, I told you so, I told you so. But the Most High won't even let me rejoice in the fall.
You gotta keep preaching.
Because I know that some of our people, the Hebrews, are caught up in the same kind of foolishness.
Amen. Amen.
Are y'all still with me?
Amen.
Hang with your pastor just a few more moments. I want to pull some more out this chapter. Verse 22. My people. Javon, this is in the Bible. Yeah, everybody get verse 22 now. My people is foolish. They love it. Foolish comes from fools.
Come on, Reverend. Say it again.
My people are foolish. Empty-headed. Fools. All that work and all that effort, everything that you do is foolishness. Everything that we're emphasizing is foolishness. All them TV shows, foolishness. Wives of LA and Atlanta and all that foolishness. Jerry Springer and all that garbage is foolishness. Folk in the ghetto walking around with no house, no land, spending $200 on tennis. You gonna come out and tell me, man, that's real life, man. That ain't real life. Torah is life. That's foolishness. One of ours gets shot and you run around here with your hands up talking about, wait, don't shoot. Surrendering to the enemy and you don't have, that's. My mama used to spend a lot of time talking to me about the difference between ignorant and stupid.
Talk about it, Reverend.
She said a lot of times people do things out of ignorance. That's one thing. It means you just don't know. He said, but then she would say, but there's a huge difference between, y'all in the room?
Yes. Amen.
It's a huge difference between just simple not knowing something and being stupid. That's our people right now.
Said doctors don't knowing better.
Talking about we can't change. We've been eating pigs all our lives. That's stupid. You come telling me, well, if we don't have Christmas, our baby's gonna come out deformed. That's stupid. Oh, but you know, my life ain't gonna be right if I don't celebrate Christmas. That's stupid. It's stupid. And this is what he says. You made your children stupid. It's in the Bible. Can I get to this verse? I'm trying to show you it's in the Bible. It said your kids are stupid. You're stupid kids. You a fool and your kids are stupid. We got foolish parents and stupid kids. And the pastors are so busy trying to get ready for the next Easter program or for the next church anniversary or the pastor's appreciation that they are not addressing the issue at hand.
Amen. Amen.
Our king is about to come back and our people are foolish and their kids are stupid.
Preach, Reverend.
Amen.
You let your 12-year-old child make a video of herself and her friends twerking.
Oh.
That's stupid.
No.
You telling your people, oh, I don't go out in the country. It's scary out there. And you living in the hood with sirens blasting every night, gunshots and bullets whistling. That's stupid. We got to get out of these population centers. It's about to get real bad in a minute. You better find you a place to go. We got stupid kids, foolish parents, stupid children. They don't understand nothing. Have you ever tried to talk to somebody and say, man, when you listen, I don't understand.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't understand? Remember the Shabbat and keep it holy. Well, I don't understand that. You don't understand to remember something? No, I don't understand. You don't understand holiness means separated? I don't understand.
I don't care.
You try to tell somebody, hey, we have to assemble together in these last days, especially around Passover and other. I don't understand that. Oh, this is what they say to me now. They say, well, you know, Rabbi or Pastor or Moray, they say, you've gotten too deep now. You're just too deep. I don't understand. No. Stupidity, watch this, will always lead you to no understanding because you're choosing to be stupid. I can't learn Hebrew because I'm too, you're stupid. What are you talking about? Do you know your ABCs? Then you can learn alphabet, get without a head. Vav, Zayin, Ket, Tet, Yod, Kaf. Y'all, what are you talking about? We free, still acting like a slave is stupid.
Amen.
I don't understand how you think we could be related to these people in this book. I guess I just won't ever understand it. You're stupid. And you're foolish. It's not hard to understand. The Hebrew people got ran up out of the Holy Land in 70 AD when Rome came and sacked the place and they scattered all over the world, and some of us ended up on the west coast of Africa where we ended up in the transatlantic slave trade. What's so hard about that, Zion?
Amen.
Unless you're stupid and you ain't got no understanding. We're everywhere. That was my last. No, I had. Let me see. Did I have another one? I gotta shut it down. 44 minutes here. Okay, this is it. Marika, then you can get ready. Go ahead and shut it down. Watch this. It's in the Bible, so I don't think I'm making this up. Tell me if this is not us today. I'm gonna read this last line, and y'all tell me if this is not us. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. Now you tell me if that ain't a perfect picture of the Hebrew to this very day. When an 8 and 9-year-old child can run a dope game.
Can't read.
But couldn't point you to the book of Malachi if you put blue steel to his temple. Oh, he's wise to evil, but he knows nothing about anything good. And y'all in the room, did you catch it? That's us. Everything about us now is evil. We're so smart in everything that's stupid, and we are ignorant in everything that's good, righteous, and holy. But I'm not just talking about the drug game. I just use that as an example. But you cannot hardly even talk to this generation because their mindset is so messed up when it comes to evil. But they have no clue of anything from the Torah that's actually good. It's not just the kids. I've been talking to leadership, pastors and preachers all over the globe. And let me share something with y'all. I'm going to let you in on one of their dirty little secrets. First of all, these cats is pimps.
That's what they're doing, man.
And they pimping the church. They're stupid. I asked the director of missions, who just so happened to be black. He might be a Hamite. I asked him to tell me the 10 commandments. And do you know that Hebrew who called himself a pastor and a director of mission did not even know the 10 commandments by heart? How did he get the job? Pimping. I said, well, name the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, man, you got me. You got me. What do you mean I got you? This ain't no I got you. I'm trying to figure out something.
Who are you?
Negro, who are you? You pastoring the people. Okay, so you believe the New Testament. Name the 12 apostles. Man, let me see here. Okay, you had that. And let me see. Levi. I said, that's a damn shame. Well, man, all of us don't know the Bible like you. Then sit down. Confess it. I've been pimping the church. I've been playing. I don't know this Bible. I don't know Jeremiah. I don't know Ezekiel. I don't know Hosea. I don't know Isaiah. I don't know anything about the Bible. All I know how to do is pimp the people like the pastor before me. Pimp the people. I know how to work on the anniversary and the Christmas program. I know how to take up that offering. I know how to do the building fund. Negro couldn't show you in this book a principle laid out in Torah if his life depended on it. And I said, good to do, smart to do, evil, but no knowledge of good. If the preacher's corrupt, and the educational system is corrupt, and now the nation has gone totally corrupt, ain't no hope. Our only hope, and I hate to leave you on a down, so I'm going to give you one little word of up. I don't want to leave you down. Our hope is the return of our King. Our hope is the return of our King. And our King is Yahushua HaMashiach. And the way things are going, it looks like you and I may see his return in our lifetime.
Yes.
The question is, will you be ready?
Yes.
He died for us. He was buried for us. He rose again for us, and he's coming back for us. The question is, will you be ready to meet the King when he comes?